Okay, since couple things. Since the first part of the foundation of my strategy will always be DRPT has to call it because there's no other way, right? I mean, if there's something I've learned from crypto, it's that no one makes money following call channels. There's no edge. Everyone's out for their own. And the only way to really make it is have your own effective calls, statistically speaking. Have your own good filters. A filter might be someone has their own honestly, I'm thinking this tool is still my favorite in terms of I feel like I just want to use Miro for my actual strategies I can view and just use this to I think so, yeah. A filter might be for someone they have a Telegram where this consists of experience that, for example, will tell them, no, for insider plays, it tends to be better to, look for very little sellers initially and very kind of fresh. Oh, this one play has both of these. But look. Oh, there's 5 whales in this. Like, do you see what I'm saying? It really is just parameters at the end of the day that you could figure out on your own through predictability, through making models that make the data work for you. So this is the foundation of everything. Like, DRPT is the, statistically speaking, only sound way that I can get my calls, and there's a decent chance it could be a 100x. Everything else, like X or YouTube, like no one, like these people are influencers. They're pumping their own bag. Your exit liquidity, even worse, something like Binance listings. Bro, it's over. That ship has sailed, my guy. That ship has sailed. So yeah, I already set my timer here because I can't waste any time. But I want to start by recapping some stuff that I learned yesterday. The relevance of that. Okay, so let's start from big to small. Well, that's the biggest, I guess, thing that I just keep reminding myself is that if you only have, and by the way, the 1 month backtesting results is way better than the 4 months. Way better. Because in crypto, everything seems to change is so often. So often. So that means that, like, whatever you're trying to catch, if you only look at 4 months, like, this is old patterns. Patterns come and go so quickly. So you almost just have to get very good at designing, like, queries. You could almost say query engineering. I don't know what they're called. As a discipline, which is essentially the use of filters with or like math logic and less than and greater than, such that you catch like at least a good chunk of 100x's this last month. That's the goal. Of course, currently my goal is just getting them good enough, whether that's 4 months or 1 month, because it's too specific right now. But that's, once you get decent enough at this, then you have to hone in on this. And yeah. Also, another thing I've realized is essentially, because change is so often, and it's not like my reasoning before was, oh, but 4 months is more general. No, that's not good. It's not general often as well. It's just that you catch data for month 4, like the last, like month 3 and then 2, and then it was nothing for month 1. If that's the case, that's even worse, because then essentially you're guaranteed to have old patterns, and nothing here, nothing for month, the up and coming months are actually going to work, you know. Another thing is that these filters are not, they didn't work how I thought they worked. It's not as black or white as I thought. So there is a main engine. I don't know how to like visualize this, but I think mosquito. Oh, fuck my finger. There's a main engine. This one is scanning the blockchain. Let's call this engine 1. Essentially for all of the information, which is 115 parameters, it's taking that in, and then it's feeding that to the second engine. Now this is useful to understand because I think any alpha tool will probably work similar to this in the future. So engine 2, which is your custom query, okay, which could be 20, it's a specific combination. It's your criteria, what you want to be true, okay? But this engine is more like an estimation. Wait, I don't know if this is even true. How do I explain this? Oftentimes you can, for example, let's say you don't adjust for all-time high underscore market cap less than 1 million, okay? Let's say you don't adjust for this. If you don't adjust for it, you might be like, oh, okay, so that means that I should catch everything that does not consider this. So like it could be 700k market cap, it could be 5 million, but no. But when you add this, all of a sudden, more information here, not more, but more, certain contracts hit our signal more, like hit our like threshold more for wanting to be included here. So it's not like, it doesn't, like if you build the most basic query in the world, you might be like, oh, will I catch every 100x then? And like, see, no, not really. That's not how that works. It doesn't work like that. Because it's almost like the way it works is expects you to have at least a certain level of specificity. And just by including certain things and being more specific, you can increase your 100x's. Now, there's a drawback as well. As you get more specific, your your calls will go down. But if you go way too general, you also have very little calls. Okay? Well, this is kind of going up then, I guess. This is going down. But too specific and too narrow is just not the play. So you have to commit a little bit and like try and then go through tribulations to make this shit work. Like, think about it. If it was that easy, you could just literally get all your results. It would be, I think it's about like data intensity as well. It's very effortful to grab everything. Rather, the filter does some type of math and criteria and thresholds logic, I don't know, such that you have to be somewhat specific and commit such that you can get more. So yeah, keep that in mind. So I went from like 13 to 14, for example, just by including this. Bro, I have no idea how to turn this shit off, by the way. Hold on. There you go. Jesus Christ. What else? Things I need to keep in mind and consider. I like the logic of you start with a initial blueprint. Like you start with a cluster. You have to define what am I trying to catch? What am I trying to catch? What do I mean? I mean, what cluster? What type? Type of token, also called a cluster. Also called a archetype. Maybe you might say bundle place. That's a possibility. Maybe you could say safety gems. Maybe you could say positive momentum. I don't know. The more of an idea you have of your archetype, and then you build some type of initial structure. Now this is like the blueprint. Hold on a second. The blueprint of your query, right? I don't know if it's meant to be like DNA or something. It's kind of retarded, but and this should already be decent, maybe. And then you kind of, it should already be decent. Like, why is that? You can, I guess. My point is, you should already look for it to make it decent before you even go to the XLX, the docs analyzing. Why? Because why not? You can easily make, I think, a decent query just by trying some combinations of, and reasoning your way through. So this to you is decent enough. Hold on. This is decent enough, you little bro? 2.39%? Nah, that's literally dog shit, I can't lie. Yeah, it is. Is it? I mean, But yeah, but you can go both ways. I mean, if you want to like look, why is this query so dog shit? Because I do have some decent ones again, like this one. But the problem with this one is this: it would have caught almost nothing in the last month. Yeah, all of it is month 3. So something about it makes it not catch. You can also kind of like, this is how you can learn and see, oh wait, so almost all of the plays are like from month 3. So like before, like 3 months ago onward. Specifically that 3rd month for some reason. All of them. So something about your query then is, we can talk about this as well. All of these are, and I think I know what it is. Time constraint. Certain parameters calls for that. Slash. Fucking mosquito, bro. Slash. Clusters. Again, a cluster is just a signatures or whatever you want to call it. And then you go to docs. And here's what you do. You remove obvious noise first. Like, what are the parameters that like obviously all of the 100x's have in common, and like yeah, but permutations matters as well. What do you mean? Like, you can't just only look at like parameter per parameter. You have to consider how they relate. Start with big movers. Why? Because if you start with micro moves, like as in you go parameter by parameter and you consider how much 2x's will this reduce by. The issue is, it might be the case that sure, you might reduce some x's based on this parameter, but if you look at then last price, that one is a big mover. So, but because you say you only want clog above, yeah, but what if you just don't change parameters that could reduce the 100x? Yeah, I guess. Like if you only change things that only reduce 2x's, then there's no chance of you removing 100x, right? I guess so, yeah. I guess that logic is sound. And you could also look for patterns, like x seems to be less than y, and x plus y is a great pattern, or something like that. And again, I think the core of it all is that with all of this, the best answer is that you actually understand the why behind stuff. Why does x happen if I change interested and being active with your learning. So there's more as well, like the core parameters that I think, let's start with which ones I think literally all of your filters should have if you want them to be half decent. I mean, that's kind of general. I actually think you can't say this. Why is that? Because I'm sure there's an archetype of tokens that literally all have a high max buy percentage, but still all do well based on certain other similarities they have. So I'm saying you can define a cluster based on almost anything, if it's the right combination. But to be general and play it safe, you could say, let's just make a list here. Like what I think for sure max buy. PRP. And I would say less than 2 or 3. It depends on, like, I guess what the archetype more fits to. I would say clog actually as well. But again, I'm sure you can, well, actually no, because I'm sure you can find clog PR percentage, which is essentially, again, this is a live changing statistic. This is why as well it's a dynamic parameter. It's a measurement of how farmy the contract is, how much of funds are flowing back into the contract, are clogging the contract via taxes and stuff. Clog percentage tends to go down as snipers dump, and as that kind of like calms down, I'm pretty sure. I would say less than 25 or 30. It's more like a range, I guess, but something around that mark. I would also say that gas rug. Gas rug. This is by gas rug. Should be less than 97 to 98. It's a great general rule. I would even say 95 potentially sometimes. Trying to be a bit more safe. Another quite general thing that you could have. I think, like, but this is not black or white, but essentially all of the function parameters, function / hash, this is very general, but rug parameters, essentially all of them follow a pattern of less than or equal to 65. Like, greater than that is a red flag as fuck for like function. That's even like, let's not fuck it on my screen here, man. We're talking function funding rug PCT. We're talking functions rug. There's another one. There's one for any single function. I forgot the name of it. There's one for any one function. I would say for sure fresh. There's at least some fresh wallets. It's the most general safe play imaginable. But fresh and dormant, they seem to fight a lot. Maybe I'm tripping here, but I don't know if they work that well together. Generally speaking, I've seen a high return of not doing too much all-time high. But again, this is too general, and we're going too general here. I want to now grind out the queries a little bit, speak my way through, of course. So my archetype right now is I'm trying to catch trench revival plays. But with the limiting all-time high market cap make any sense there? Maybe. Because I never had a major runner, maybe? Oh, you should have, but not too great. RSI 100. Why is that? I guess it makes sense for our current kind of cluster that we're making. If dormant is greater than 0, that tends to be associated with more top source, I think. Because dormant wallets tend to indicate some type of alpha info or something. Why would they become undormant, What makes it worsen? Hoping this just plays out the way I want it to. By a little bit, maybe. Wait, what? Okay. Back right to. Barely. Way too many 2x's, man. Think about big movers. Snipes. No obvious patterns here. Are you sure? You can't just say that from this alone. Like, yeah, you can. Look at how many. Look at the variance. Is a good amount. It's a good amount. Minute one buyer. Have I already added that? Greater than 0. It's way too narrow. Oh, sorry, way too general. 0, 1. Is there a consistent pattern here that you think you can? There isn't really. Hardly, sadly. We could say why would that work? Well, because the data shows it. And I guess because our parameters are so few right now, I would say it's definitely biased towards like that problem I spoke about earlier, where because it's so unspecific, we need like more to get better percentiles. Well, minute one bias shows FOMO, so our 2x is actually not that bad. Our post all-time high on rugs is decent. Our 20x is even decent. 10x is decent. Just our 100x still sucks major balls. But I think this might be a problem of unspecificity, but I'm not sure. Hold on. We could even say greater than 10 easily. But I think let's see. That's good, I guess. Better, I suppose. What if let's be a bit more specific. And 9 is probably not better, or 8. Let's try 9. Stick with this. So another pattern maybe between the buyers that you can interpret. Minute one buyers repeatedly is a very high percentile of minute 5 buyers. That's the case everywhere though, isn't it? Like it's even the same. Nah, it's not the same. But it's like 90% at least. So look for anomalies where this is 10 and this is greater than 5. Greater than 10, greater than 5. And where this is not a big percentage of this. Guess it does happen, yeah. And it's not a good sign. It's pretty. It's not that common, but I'm seeing it quite a few times. It's worth a try, I guess. What? Oh. Oh no. Wait. Oh wait, it's not. Wait, what was I looking at then? Wait, what? What was I looking at? Retarded? It's definitely not true though, because this one here. Yeah, what's? Yeah, it's definitely not a pattern. Oh, buddy, who's gonna tell him? Somehow my just removed something by accident. Yeah. Fuck. That's definitely not a pattern. Less than or equal to 40? I mean, even that's like. maybe, I guess. Fuck. Yeah, because you cut out these two. Oh man. There's a lack of symmetry here, for sure. Oh, interesting. Interesting. That's a lot, I think. Why is that? Why is it that, at least in his output, either... that's not true, actually. Fuck. Almost true. Except for this one. Too much whales is actually not a good sign. Guess it's not alpha anymore then, right? So you want to cut out one to cut out, like, I don't know how many? We could try, I guess. Will this work? I mean, what? Crunch. I don't know what I'm going to try here. I don't know if this is turning into Trench Revival or something else. All-time high X's, so... It's not a big signal, though. Majority have 2x or above, but... Let's try. Yeah. Doesn't do shit. Launch delay. See, no major patterns there. This is like 2-month dependent. Like, I don't know. I guess naturally, if the bribe is too high, it's not very kind of not very insiderish. It's a signal, but not a major one. Yeah, it just isn't very significant at all. It's like a lot of these have 0. Maybe. Less than or equal to 3. Sake. The fuck do these have in common, man? They all have 0, 0, 0. Is this also not a pattern? Not even. This is true again, though, about my theory about, like, they all have that in common, at least. But it's not major at all. I guess not. Fuck me. Though it's worth adding, I think. Hardly. Fuck. Jesus Christ. How does it remove? Fucking cancel. Rough. I have to play with it a little bit here, man. Not much more to interpret. Are there no similarities that you could further deduct, bruh? Like, for real? For real, dog? This is gonna be terrible results. How did you know that? Because, well, it's just very uncommon for those two to work well together. Brother. What? Why is it invalid? Retarded or what? I'm pretty sure that's a fucking parameter, right? Now what's the issue? Oh, man. I am tired. Look at the difference for some reason. Well, it's not great actually. Okay, I'm gonna recall as I'm making my shake. Set my 15-minute timer on because I gotta leave early today. Okay, so let's talk about saved messages and like bits of knowledge that is very useful and I gotta kind of ingrain in my fucking skull. Unverified CA is bullish in their eyes. This is a cluster. If it corresponds to certain things, like very little sellers early on. Early on is a key answer, I guess. The key word, early. There's other clusters as well. You can conjure up everything, but you have to think of trends as well. So I think, like, as I've seen them say, like, sometimes they like to not exclude snipers because it could allow them to, or bundles, top source, could make them miss out on top source. I also really like to send year. And then draw a golden analogy for each step. So I think unverified CA is bullish. So you can think of it like people who are very humble, the way they present themselves, but underneath there's great utility and value. There's a reason they present themselves as such. It's because they don't want that thing going out there yet. As in they want the insiders to get in before. Yeah, I guess, kind of. A bit like that, yeah. I'm gonna recall and study on my way to work as well, for sure. By the way, this is the one time thing. I have to go to work on foot today, so fuck me. My bicycle is still over there. What else? There's not a filter for unverified, right? I guess not, because it's not the strongest indicator, I think, but it can be, with the right conditions, quite strong. And again, you need to create the right conditions, because if you don't, here's the thing, because like the logic, like I'll try, like, let me try explain like the queries I had before and why they did so well and what they catch for. So start with this one. So what does this one catch for? Interpret it. So we're essentially asking for a quite safe play that didn't pump too hard yet. Where's the or? Am I blind? What? Where is it? So this is a very tight one, of course, that we want fresh launches that have interests, some minimum interest, that aren't bribed too heavily, that don't have too many unknown functions. So this is the safety play, essentially. I don't know, it's a safety fresh play. It really limits every single thing, but it follows a strict narrative of this all makes sense for the type of launch we're going after. Now, the issue here is just like the other ones, I assume, yeah. Yep, same issue here. One that doesn't really have this issue is, why is this? I think, well, certain things here, it's not, combinations make it not fresh. But, what does this one catch for, and what are the results, you think? I'm forgetting to catch for null values. I think it doesn't matter, actually. So I need to keep doing that. So we want some minimal interest in the last hour. Of amount of buyers, but not too many. You want fresh sex to be greater than 1. That one works. No way. Pretty well. Mm. But this depends on your edge, right? Okay, first of all, that video on my For You page, I swear to God, I was watching that as a joke. I'm not kidding, okay? I searched ASMR sleep and it came up, and now, okay, what the fuck is in my For You page? I don't even know. Gotta leave soon. Okay. So what did I just read about that message? What is execute? Execute in the blockchain is the completion of some list of functions or something, but I think it's encapsulated or something. I don't know how to explain it. But about that message from earlier, dynamics there about the key word is, you see how you start to interpret sentences differently. Yes, that max buy was very sus. Very, very sus. But the thing that made it even worse is at that market cap. So it's a combinatory thing combined is very conducive to rugs. And if you understand these kind of patterns, like the goal is making them second nature to you. That's kind of the goal. What else? What else is an example of that? That like when looked at individually, it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty bad. But when looked at combined, oh, that's bad. That you've seen like from what people said. And why is that? And then draw a real world analogy. Okay. I guess the closest thing so far that we talked about before as well is the verified CA or unverified CA. What does that mean, by the way? It just means that they did some amount of effort to, compile or decompile the bytecode such that it's visible on Etherscan, that people can actually read the code without having to go through a lot of effort. But that's a good thing. DRPD can interpret both. It can decompile and compile such that it can read and show you or interpret it and what it needs to do. And unverified by itself doesn't mean anything, but when you combine that with a key cluster, with a lack of sellers initially, and a lack of social media, boom, that's a cluster. You have a decent indicator for something. Another example is, just think about one that you know damn well they would talk about because it's just that you've seen in your own filters, and what you're essentially catching for. A lot of Mooners, Fresh and Freck centralized exchange seems to work well together. But then Dormant and Fresh is a more specific cluster that I don't really understand fully yet. And then if you say like all-time market cap less than something, and you show that there is at least some interest, but not too much, to where you cut out the noise. But there's too much interest, in a otherwise proper contract, and it tends to be volume bots, etc. It's just a bad sign, I think. Very much so. Yeah, but if you buy, then you're pumping the price, right? What's your take on this? He's essentially trying to establish key clusters with limited data. The problem is, the more specific you can get, the more fine-tuned you can be, and the better your results will be. Because the reality is, if you want to catch for specific clusters, they are quite detailed, and you need more than just fresh buyers. What are the very basic? Fresh buyers, sellers, like buyers amount, volume amount in USD, 1 minute, 5 minute market cap. There's a bit more than that, and FOMO just feeds it all and only really cares about, like, maybe you could recreate FOMO by saying minute 5 buyers, or minute 1 buyers greater than X and minute 5 buyers than X as part of the 1 hour buy amount. Yeah, initial LP too high just ain't. It's crazy how we have these in the what if liquidity pool should be big? No. Yeah. This is wrong launched, obviously, not. All right, I'm gonna end the stream here. I'm gonna study on my way to work and at work, and yeah, this won't happen. This won't have to happen again because I usually don't have to leave this early. But all right, time to interpret again. Quote of the day, or not quote of the day. Knowledge bit of the day. Always consider how a signature is developed and how two things fight or dance with each other.